So this is the self-development with tactics book.
Five G, which stands for 5G, and this is what we're going to talk about today. This is going to be today's topic, but more as always after the intro. What does 5G even stand for? I don't know, 5 gigabit per millisecond. This would actually be amazing, but yeah. With that being said, hello, welcome back to the next episode of the Self-Development with Tactics fucking podcast. And I'm pumped. I'm pumped for this episode just because I'm recording this just really really late in the day, which is something that I do not particularly like to do, just because I then really feel not pretty productive during the day when the best thing for me is to record just when it's 10 a.m. or something, actually finishing both episodes that I'm having to record on this day till 10 a.m. This just really feels amazing. It just really feels cool. Just before I actually go through the article and before we actually start to talk, I want to just point out that you can also listen to this episode. If you're just on YouTube and you wonder who the fuck actually watches a 30-minute episode of somebody talking, basically nobody. So please check out the link down in the description and check out the podcast. The podcast link, and this link should actually lead you to a page where you can choose which platform you would like to listen on, because the podcast is on Apple Podcasts, it is on TuneIn, it is on Spotify, it is on Google Podcasts, it is on Stitcher, it is on Castbox, Radio Republic. It's quite everywhere, and there should also be the platform you just normally use to listen to your podcasts if you're listening to your podcasts. So please check out the link if you're into podcasts and if you would like to listen to this as a podcast. And for the other people that are right now on the podcast, if you want to actually listen and or watch the YouTube video, then please check out the link in the show notes as well, because there should be a link to the YouTube channel. But yeah, let's actually move through this amazing and or hopefully amazing article from the ink.com site. And I've seen it, it catched my eyes or something, I don't know. It actually catched me, because I'm definitely very, very interested in future technology and in future in general, but especially just in terms of technology, because there is going to be so much, and I'm still really looking forward to my flying cars. I don't know if I'm actually gonna see them, The thing is, I'm 18 years old, I'm really fucking young, and this is just the beauty of being young, that I'm able to just see a lot of things in my life from this point on. But we will see, we will see, and I will document that hopefully, and I will also going to show that and or going to share that when I'm still having the podcast, and when I'm 50 years old or something, would actually be amazing. 30 years of, or actually 40 years then, quite 30, 40 years of podcasting just really sounds great. But yeah, the article is called "Everyone Wants a 5G iPhone, but here are 5 industries that will actually be revolutionized when ultra-fast wireless finally arrives," which is 5G. Let's see. So 5G rollout has been slow, but the technology could completely transform how these businesses operate. This week, we got to look at what's coming for 5G, the ultra-fast wireless standard that carriers have slowly started rolling out across the country. I guess it's about the United States, because in my country, the funny thing is, I'm living in Austria, as just quite some people might know. And the thing is, the government said, or just really high people and personalities said, that we should be a country, that is really on the top front of building out and or just rolling out 5G. Have we done anything up to this point? I guess actually not. The thing is, the United States is having some 5G networks just in the country, but really not big areas, relatively small areas as far as I know. And they are working, I guess, as far as I know. I'm not quite sure. But in terms of Austria, there is really not a lot. I think it's just really expensive. I don't know if we are actually able to pay that, but yeah, or afford that actually as well. But yeah. This week we got to look at what's coming for 5G, the ultra-fast wireless standard that carriers have slowly started rolling out across the country. Many of the carriers and technology companies involved in building 5G networks and devices were at the Mobile World Congress in Los Angeles, unveiling the latest news about how 5G is going to change our lives. Of course, before it can change lives, it has to actually find a life of its own. The problem is that the fastest 5G uses millimeter wave technology that only travels a few city blocks at most. That's compared to the range of a 4G LTE tower, which can reach many miles. The result is that ultra-fast 5G requires a far greater number of cellular towers placed much closer together. Creating that infrastructure takes time. And it should also not be really healthy, just because those waves that these towers are sending out, basically, these are not really healthy for the human beings, just because they are so, short. They're not really long, but they're really short. This is also one of the reasons why they are not traveling that far, just because they are so short. At least I think, I'm not a scientist. I don't know. I'm really not educated in that space, but I just think that this is the case. But yeah, there's another slower form of 5G that will likely see a wider rollout because it uses mid-band wave technology that reaches further but isn't capable of the faster speeds due to the fact that they are less dense than millimeter wave. Adding a layer of complication, these two technologies require different antennas, which means that not all 5G devices will be capable of both speeds, unless the people that are building those devices are actually thinking about that, and they're also going to just build in both antennas. I'm actually assuming that a lot of companies are going to do. I don't know, if I'm just thinking about iPhones, I don't know if they're actually going to do that. It just really sounds to be just one of the things that Apple is not doing. But it really, on the other hand, just really sounds like a thing that Samsung is doing with all its devices. That you're capable of using both antennas and or bandwidths, which actually is a good thing, because it's just really user-friendly and whatnot. So I don't know, these are just my assumptions, it just really feels that way. I don't know how you're thinking about that, but it really feels that way for me. But not only just for smartphones. However, everyone thinks about 5G as being about smartphones, and while manufacturers have started rolling out versions of their flagship devices that include the antennas, it's nothing compared to the impact 5G could have on other industries. While an iPhone with blazing fast download speeds would be great, reality is that our smartphone is probably the least important technology that will benefit from ultra-fast wireless data. I would say so, and I would also think so, because there's so much more. There's so incredibly much more than iPhones and phones, and being able to just download a gigabit or a gigabyte actually in a millisecond. I don't know the exact speed 5G is capable of, but I'm going to look that up afterwards. So think about it. Who cares if you can stream 8K video when the 5.5-inch screen on your device is nowhere near capable of that resolution? It really does not make any fucking sense. On the other hand, any application that requires large amounts of data or information is going to benefit from the ability to send that info in near real time. Yeah, I think it's really going to be near real time. I do not really believe that it is going to be, I don't know. As I said, I'm really not educated in space, therefore it's probably not going to be the best idea to just discussing things that I'm not really capable of discussing. But I don't know if it's actually going to be real time. I'm a little bit doubting that, because, they as well say, okay, it's going to be near real time. But I'm not quite sure, 50-50 actually. It's actually a 50-50 chance and or probability, but it would actually be nice, But the thing is, then when it is actually not really real time, is there then actually some use, just because there is going to be some delay, there is going to be some delay. Can we then just still use it for medical treatments or medical stuff, which is actually the next point that we're going to read, or I'm going to read? I'm not sure, it's going to be pretty complicated, I guess, because if there is a delay, even though it's just a few milliseconds, it's just really, really be severe. If you're just a surgeon, is it a surgeon? I don't fucking know. If you're just doing a surgery, you're the doctor and you're doing the surgery, and if there's a fucking millisecond of just delay, I guess one singular move that you just do wrong, or do just a little bit too far, or a little bit too far to the left or to the right, or just in front or whatever, it could really just have severe problems or severe consequences. Therefore, I don't know. Let's actually see. Medicine. There are two factors that make healthcare a prime candidate for transformation with 5G. The first is the massive amount of data related to delivering healthcare in a physician's office or hospital. The second is the density of people trying to access and work with the data at the same time. Both of those factors are limited by speed and bandwidth and both are improved by 5G. As a result, 5G opens up possibilities especially related to remote care for families who live in areas that don't have easy access to medical care. In fact, one of the holy grail applications of ultra-fast wireless capabilities is remote surgery, allowing surgeons to operate on patients located hundreds of miles away by robots controlled remotely. But as I said, if it is not really real time, if it is only near real time, there is going to be some problems. It's not going to be that great. There are just really going to be some problems because, as I said, there could be just severe consequences just because of 1 millisecond of delay, just because you're then just doing a mistake or something. And it's really something to take care of, I guess. Just when the time is coming and when we're actually able to do that, when we're actually having the infrastructure to try that out, I guess it just still then takes a little bit of time. Also just until the doctors and our surgeons are able to use those things. Not everyone should be able to do that, I guess, and not everyone is meant to do that. I think it's only just for doctors that are really high in demand, and doctors that are just really, really specialized in certain areas, like brain surgeries and all those things. I think they should be able to do that, but there, of course, has to be some sort of a training. There has to be some sort of a learning curve until you're actually able to do that. And this just also again delays those 2 time points of, okay, we are starting to use it, and okay, we are able to use that, or we are able to use it in a good way and in a practical way, in a just making sense way. But the second thing is manufacturing. Since 5G wireless technology can be laid over existing infrastructure, it doesn't require the same investment that would be required to upgrade current factories to fiber optic broadband. This means that companies that specialize in on-demand factoring can take advantage of real-time transfer and processing of the large amount of data that comes from designing, engineering, manufacturing, and quality testing new products. It also has huge potential for streamlining and better managing your supply chain by allowing you to connect your transportation network to the cloud with real-time analysis. That's especially helpful for mission-critical and sensitive items that require monitoring or tracking throughout the supply chain. It's just going to revolutionize so many different things. Is it actually going to be a new era in terms of, okay, now we are having I guess so actually, because it's revolutionizing basically everything. It's like the first time we got the internet, it revolutionized the whole planet. And this again is going to revolutionize just big parts of the planet, just not every part of the planet, because not everyone's going to be able to use that from day 0 on, basically, because I don't know how other countries are thinking about that, especially also in poorer countries. So poorer countries, how they are thinking about that, or in poorer states and whatnot, poorer continents. I don't know, it would just really be interesting, what they are thinking about that or how they are going to just handle that. Because as we've been talking about before, there just has to be a really, really, really high density of those cellular towers. And this it's just not really cheap, and this might also be one of the reasons why not a lot of countries are going to have 5G in the next 20 years. I think it's actually probably going to be the same thing as everything else. Now, it's actually, I'm not quite sure, but I guess just the majority of the planet is having internet or is capable of using the internet, I guess, but not everyone. I think not everyone, this is still something that people or governments and whatever have to change. But of course, there are certain places where there's not going to be just any internet, just because it is what it is. Like in the rainforest, in the Amazon rainforest, there is not going to be some internet, I guess, or some internet. The next one is autonomous vehicles. Keeping vehicles moving in the right direction without running into each other is hard enough when there are humans behind the wheel. I think this point here is just really not the best one, since humans are the reason why there are just a lot of accidents. Because we are making a lot of mistakes. We are driving even though we are just really tired. We are driving because we are drunk. We are driving because we are just having other drugs in our blood and whatever. So I don't know, but never mind. Actually debating about some fucking really, really irrelevant parts of the text, but never mind. Remove the humans from the equation, and now a computer is faced with factoring thousands of data points and making decisions quickly. All of that requires the ability to collect, organize, and process a lot of information. 5G means that autonomous vehicles will be able to do that fast enough to better prevent accidents. They are able to do it now in a relatively good way. They are capable of doing it. let's talk about Tesla. I think they have done just a pretty good job at having those autonomous vehicles and letting their Teslas just move autonomously and or drive autonomously. I think they're really doing a great job, especially with the bandwidth and with the 4G network that they are having and that they are capable of using, because there is not too much 5G available. But I guess it's just going to be really, really good with 5G, because let's actually talk about the numbers afterwards, because I'm going to look up the numbers afterwards because I'm interested. I'm really interested. And now this is actually also something that I'm really looking forward to. I think it's actually been yesterday where I've also looked it up again to just see how everything is going and whatnot, which is cloud computing. When you consider the ability to run business processes in the cloud, the computing power is almost limitless. The problem is transferring massive amounts of data to and from the cloud, especially in applications where you don't have access to fiber optic connections. 5G could allow all kinds of cloud-based applications to run anywhere, including on your smartphone. Think about applications that are now limited by the computer power of a smartphone, but could easily take advantage of moving that data to the cloud and back instantly. And this is just something really, really, really amazing. This just might also mean that we don't actually have to, software is able to do quite a lot, and this is probably something that you have seen and that we all have seen by or from or on the Pixel 3 and the Pixel 2 and whatnot. So the camera, they just did amazing. The camera did just amazing just because of software, just because of algorithms, just because of those things that Google was programming. It's just been really insane. And if I'm just thinking about it, I guess there just really has to be a time in history in the future where we all are not going to, when hardware in terms of smartphones and PCs and all those things are really going to be relatively cheap. It's then just only going to be about having really, really, really fast modems and or just really fast capabilities and or the capabilities of being able to use really fast internet, because it's then not really going to be about hardware any longer. It's going to be just about cloud computing, cloud gaming, cloud entertainment, streaming, everything. Then there is actually no need for having just a really good graphics card in your PC, just because the cloud is doing everything. Just because cloud is having a GPU. And yesterday I've actually been looking up if I can actually render some things, just because I'm also having some experience, not really a lot, in 3D design, and in just rendering out some 3D designs and whatnot, which usually takes quite a lot of time, especially if it is something that's looking relatively realistic, then it really takes a lot of time. The problem is it takes a lot of time, and in the end or in the process, you do not really know if the result is going to be as you want it to be. At least as I've been using those 3D softwares, of course, there is some real-time viewfinders, basically, if you want to say that. But using cloud computing and being able to use cloud GPUs and cloud processors and whatnot, we are all able to just render out pretty fucking intense things. Because through 5G, we are able to do that now as well. But with 5G, it's going to revolutionize that as well. It's going to be just way better. It's going to be way faster. It's going to be way more powerful because everything is going to be massively faster. And I guess, there is going to be a time when the thing is, what is companies like Apple and Samsung that are just really focusing on hardware, that are really focused on just having the new phone, having the new PC, having the new washing machine, whatever it might be. In the end, just if it is not about something physical like a washing machine that is really physically washing your fucking clothes, then there's actually no need to upgrade every single year. Because if the cloud thing is doing well, if also in terms of cameras, actually, of course, having a good sensor and having a good lens and having just good of those things is really truly important, because software is not able to just make everything good, it's not capable of doing that. Maybe it's going to be in the future, by using 5G as well. But I guess if you're having a decent camera, software can actually do quite a lot, can really do quite a lot. And then there's no need to actually buy myself a new phone every year, because everything that I need is fast internet speed and maybe even a good display, a display where everything looks sharp enough. Everything, I don't know, maybe it's just really going to be only about displays in the near future, just because there is no need to have really good hardware in your phone, just as good hardware as you're then just able to use your phone in decent speed, because everything is going to be in the cloud and whatnot. And the last thing is entertainment. The reality is that while streaming Netflix or any of the other upcoming video services doesn't require 5G speeds, there are plenty of other applications that might. Gaming, for example, is far more data intensive and will benefit from the additional speeds and bandwidth. 5G also opens new possibilities for virtual reality, VR, and augmented reality AR, especially when you think about realistic gaming experiences or the ability to provide contextual information about what your device sees. Finally, if 5G is truly as fast as promised, when it finally arrives for the majority of Americans, it will provide a new option for home-based wireless broadband service. Not only does it introduce the ability for all of your smart home devices to connect without running wires, but imagine having ultra-fast home internet without having to deal with the cable companies. I don't know about you, but if it's that case, sign me up. The funny thing is, I am having at this point in time a 4G device, like a Wi-Fi device. It is just basically receiving waves and it's then again sending out waves, basically. And it's working really, really fine with 4G. 4G is actually already pretty fast, but 5G speed. I actually do want to see how fast it is. There are the same 5G. Let's actually go. Let's actually click on the article and read it by using this one, because I assume, it's actually fine. I can use that. 5G speed, how to understand the numbers. I do not want to send them, I do just want to have the numbers. 5G peak download speed is going to be 20 gigabytes per second. Just think about that, per second. Or 20,480 megabytes per second. So it's going to be around 20 gigabytes. If it is 20,480, then it's actually more than 20 gigabytes. But the upload speed is going to be 10 gigabytes, which is just insane per second. Like, it's not a gigabyte per second, which is already really insane, but like it just is really insane. But just by thinking about that, this is now something gigabytes. Oh, I'm sorry. It's been 20 gigabits and 10 gigabits upload. So 20 gigabits download and 10 gigabits upload, which means 2.5 gigabytes per second download and 1.25 gigabytes per second upload. But this is just also insane. It's just insane, which means that I'm able to upload this video basically in 2 seconds, because the data is relatively big. The video files are relatively big. It's just insane. What we are then capable of doing is it a tiny factor? Because I just wanted to say it is a tiny factor that just really changes a lot, but it really is. Yeah, it's not tiny. It's not tiny, but it's not also just a really huge thing, I have to say. Like, it is something. It changes so much. It changed so much, and it's going to revolutionize so many things. And it's probably also changing lives, basically. What's 5G wireless speed means for you? Like we mentioned above, without examples, it can be difficult to visualize what you can do on a 5G network versus a 4G network or any other slower connection. Consider this. You download a movie that's 3 gigabyte in size using 5G, 4G, and 4G LTE and 3G networks. And here's how long it might take to download the movie on those different kinds of mobile networks using realistic speeds and not peak speeds. On 3G, it might take you 1 hour and 8 minutes. On 4G, 40 minutes. Like 3 gigabytes. 3 gigabytes is something. It's actually really something. 4G is going to be 40 minutes. 4G LTE is going to be 27 minutes. Gigabit LTE is going to be 61 seconds. And 5G is going to be 35 seconds. 35 seconds. 35 amazing seconds. Like, it really is a lot. Like, there's nothing to argue about that. 1 gigabyte, or is it gigabit? I think gigabit per second. 2 seconds to download 75 JPEGs, images, 300 megabytes. Like, yeah, there are some examples. You could figure it out as well. If you just know how big certain things are, then you know how fast it is and how amazing it is. But yeah, I think this is actually going to be it with the episode. It's been a pretty interesting one, at least for me. I do hope that it was also relatively interesting for you to maybe just have a little bit of a look into the future, see what's coming up next, see what's going on in the future, and all those things. But yeah, I wish you the best health, full of happiness, and also success. And I also hope that you're going to remind yourself how you're going to be remembered, which basically means your legacy. Because we can just be nice people and then being remembered as nice people as well. But yeah, the problem there is there are 7.7 billion people on this planet, and there's going to be just maybe even 1,000 people that just hate you by nature, just because it is what it is. But 3 other questions that I hope that you're going to ask yourself are: why are you here? What are you trying to change? And what is bothering you the most? I really do hope that you're going to ask yourself those 3 questions, because they are hopefully going to show you your purpose and maybe even a business idea, since a lot of businesses started out with solving something and or fixing something that really pissed the founders off. But yeah, this is it with the episode. I'll hopefully see you the next time. So please subscribe to the channel and please subscribe to the podcast so that I'm going to see you the next time. It would really be nice. Bye.